Well, we had another smashing success in Bioblitz. We had over 40 scientists up, some returning from last year, and a couple of new ones. We had trufflers up in the subalpine, which I never knew that there were subalpine truffles. We had 3 entomologists, that is insect people, from the Royal BC Museum. That's kind of a good news, bad news story, because as you can see right now, it's perfect and sunny, and I'm being buzzed by dragonflies and damselflies and butterflies, and the highest level entomologists couldn't find any of them. So it was a good news, bad news thing.
So if you've got really small salamanders, sometimes they get caught in there.
And sometimes they can get out.
Yeah, they can. Usually we can get some invertebrates in here. That's just an exuviate. So you can see how these work when this is zipped up. They're just sitting on the bottom, and a lot of animals in water like to swim along things. So they'll swim along a log or a rock or something like that, and then as soon as they come to the edge of the trap, they just get led towards the hole. And then because of that philosophy of following along the edges, once they're in the trap, they tend to stay around the edge, and they don't seem to be able to find the hole again in the center. They do sometimes get out, but most of the time they stay in the trap.
I see something that looks like a white worm.
They're massive slugs, aren't they?
Mommy, look, there's mini toads.
That's a dragonfly larvae. So what they'll do is they'll sort of wait until something swims by, and they got this jaw underneath their mouth. It's like an arm, and it shoots out like this, and it has these big
Extra jaw.
watch. And this is it right here. I'm gonna pull it out. It shoots out like this.
It's like out of Alien.
And here's the teeth on it. I'll see if I can pull them out. See that? That's one of them.
So they'll catch fish with that. They'll also catch tadpoles with those, but usually in
The holes, like, see that hole there?
Yeah.
That's like spherical where it breathes through, and it has one on either side.
What I loved about the scientists this year, that they were so enthusiastic again. Everyone had a great time. Everyone kind of rolled with the punches. The birders got a little bit shut out with the weather. They got 37 this year, and I think they were over 50 last year. And that was strictly a case of the weather.
I'm Daryl Thompson, and I was up in the Alpine today, up on Blackcomb, and I found a great variety of lichens. Some wonderful stuff. Some I don't know what it is yet, but I'm going to find out. Some wonderful, colorful, and exotic looking species. I'm overwhelmed.
So this is the net for the plankton. There are these little animals that swim in the lake, and they feed on the phytoplankton, the small algae. So you sink this net to the bottom of the lake, and then you pull it up towards the bowl, and the little tiny plankton gets stuck in the net.
Today, boys and girls, we have a very dangerous creature inside of this. But it starts off with a little story of history. Socrates was a philosopher teacher in ancient Greece during the Golden Era. And due to his behavior, some of which is probably true, some of which is probably not so true, he was condemned to die. A cup of poison hemlock was his penalty. Everybody thinks of hemlock as being the trees here, hemlock trees, not the actual water plant. So this is the plant, the poisonous water hemlock, and it's a plant that grows by streams, and it's got 2 characteristics. One, in the root, the base of the root, it's got chambers. See the chambers there? They're kind of individually separated little zones. So that's one indicator, because there's lots of related species. This is in the carrot family, by the way. And the other indicator is in the leaf venation. I don't know if you can get the resolution fine enough, but the main lateral veins don't finish at the tips of the serrated edges, they finish at the cleft of the serrated edges. So that's your indicator. 2 indicators for poison hemlock, and according to the manual, this is enough to kill a human. Just that. If you ate this, you would die.
This year's total was, we're at around 500. It'll take probably 2 or 3 months to get final numbers, but we're picturing that it will be definitely less than last year. We did very well on plants. They don't move in cold, rainy weather. So we made sure that Andy McKinnon and Jackie Shabin and a number of other botanists were out there combing the woods and alpine for as many plants as they could find.
Surprising is not so much, as you were saying, that the tree, that you're getting a transfer of sugars from the tree to the fungus. That happens all the time. What's really surprising is that you're getting a transfer of sugars from the fungus to the other tree.
Right.
And
So
it seems to be,
there?
well, yeah, what's going on there indeed. Suzanne's interpretation is that the whole process is in control of is controlled by the fungus.
Rainbow trout.
Over 50 and maybe up to 100 of the 500 species have never been recorded in Whistler, which is a pretty phenomenal percentage. So we're hoping that when everything gets collated into the data, that it's going to bump up the total numbers and also give us more idea of which mushrooms are here, which insects are here, and then again it gives us a better idea of what we need to do to keep nature in Whistler. We ended up doing an indoor presentation on Saturday instead of the outdoor night critters, just because it was basically a deluge and cold. And that worked out spectacularly well, and we have plans this year to incorporate talks with the outdoor walks next year.
The majority of species are things that you have no idea exist, even for those experts in this room. Most species are microscopic.
Picture here, right over in here, the kind of more coarse reddish color, that's some hemlock roots. So in this case, the mycorrhiza relationship is between the piloderma and the hemlock tree.
Native in the bush, and I've never done this in front of an audience, so I'm feeling a bit under pressure here. But it goes, okay. Woo! 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 And then wait a few minutes. Yeah, you don't usually get applause.
If you're interested in living organisms in British Columbia, there's only a couple of places you'd want to be, and one of them is Whistler. In British Columbia, we have more types of climate and more types of ecosystems than in the whole rest of Canada put together.
Of course, allows them to save enormous amounts of energy. And in fact, in Whistler, on a night like this, most of the bats would be in torpor, which is sort of a shortened version of hibernation.
So Bioblitz is a concept. There are differing stories of its provenance, but somewhere back in the early 80s in the States, some scientists came up with the idea that having a public event that really highlighted how much diversity is just in people's backyard would really help.
They eat toads. They can eat birds. They can eat toads, yeah. They eat a lot of different stuff, but they don't eat any vegetables.
220 plants, and we didn't have the 100 mosses this year. Terry McIntosh, the expert, couldn't make it this year, so we were more like at 12. We had 12 mammals, and last year we were up around 15. Last year we had 52, I believe, birds, and this year we had 37. So the numbers are definitely down across the board, but the trend of still finding new records continues. And I mean, eventually, I guess we'll get to a point where we won't find anything new, but I can't see that happening for decades.
Nice catch.
Okay, so it is a redback bull.